it's Angie from Canterbury Trails Farm, and today we're talking about parsley. Parsley can be used medicinally or it can be used to cook with. For the most part, I use parsley to cook with, not medicinally, not like my other herbs that are growing, like my echinacea right here, my coneflowers. I use those a lot in medicinal preparations. But parsley I primarily use for cooking. Right now is the hot part of our growing season. And you can see I have yarrow and I've got horehound and marshmallow, which has gone a little bit crazy, and the mint, which is always crazy. I just let it do its thing. And my parsley right now is not doing real great. It will hold on. I picked probably the lastings about a week or so ago, and that's what we're going to be working with that's dried now inside. But this plant is usually pretty big, but right now things are eating it and it's not doing good because we just have so intense of heat during July and August. So this is what I just want to show it to you. It's not looking good right now, but usually it has these big, all of these, and it grows from like a central cluster and it will grow up. And what I normally do is I will harvest the outside bigger branches and I will let the middle ones grow. As you can see, something's eating it, but I do have one hanging on there. I just wanted to show it to you in the garden before we go inside and we start looking at what it looks like and how to dry it. Parsley is an antimicrobial, and it also has a lot of antioxidant properties. It is very high in vitamins. I had to write them down because there's so many things that parsley has, and it can be used fresh or dried. So let me discuss. First of all, it has vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin B, which is folic acids, vitamin K. It has iron, magnesium, calcium, potassium, zinc, and phosphorus, and it is a really good source of daily dietary fiber. Because of that high fiber content, the medicinal uses of parsley are as a diuretic and a laxative. You can eat parsley fresh. The seeds, the leaves, the stalks generally aren't consumed as much, and the root. The root can be harvested usually the second year or more. I don't harvest roots, and they're eaten sort of like a carrot. It is a single tap root, like a carrot. Well, depending on the age of your plant, but if you have a very old plant, I wouldn't want to be harvesting it for the root. It'd be up to you. So you can use parsley dried, which is often used in cooking and the medicinal reasons, or you can use it fresh. In ancient times, the Romans especially used it whenever you see it as a garnish on your plate. The reason why it's on your plate is because since the ancient times, the Romans would chew the parsley to cleanse their teeth and their mouth, the palate, and to freshen your breath. So that's why the traditional garnishing of the plate with the fresh sprig of parsley. Generally, it's used to treat, like I said, as a diuretic, a laxative. It's used to treat hay fever. I've never used it to treat hay fever. It's used in digestive and UTI. Those, I think, are the primary reasons why it's used. In ancient Roman times, they would chew the seeds, and they thought it made them invisible and gave them superpowers. So I can't promise that you're going to be invisible or have superpowers, but it might help your breath. I generally reserve parsley for cooking. Like I said, it's high in all of these nutrients and vitamins, and so I just use it. It grows very well in hot climates. We looked at mine. It's not doing really good right now, but I think that's mostly because the birds right now are descending upon, since it's so dry and so hot. If I don't net everything at this point in my gardening between July and the end of August, a lot of things get consumed, and then they come back, and I can grow from all the way up until Thanksgiving. And some things, actually parsley will grow year round. I keep my garden covered. One thing I will add, if you have an allergy to the carrots family or celery, carrots and celery, you should avoid eating. So to dry your parsley, you're just going to gather it in a sprig about this big. You don't want your stalks to be, I would say keep it under a dime in diameter. I just rubber band mine together and I hang it. I have a plastic hanger hanging way high in my pantry that I just hang bunches of herbs, and then I have another herb rack that I grow more, if I have a more abundance. But this, I just had this one bunch because it's starting to thin out now. So what I will do when I'm going to process it, I'm just going to cut off this stalk portion here. These smaller stalks, I'll probably cut off some of these too here. So I'm going to cut off some of these larger stalks just because they're more sticky like twigs. And it's okay to consume them. I just prefer to have more of the flavorful leaves and less of the twiggy. Well, these are easily compostable. When the leaves crumble, when you smush them, then it's ready to be processed. And how I do that, I just put it in a bowl, and I just use kitchen shears. And I'm just going to cut it up until it's down to a smaller. You don't want, like when you're eating, to have this huge piece of dried parsley. So I try to make it small enough so it adds flavor, but it isn't a distraction in your dish. Now there are oils that are extracted from the leaves and the seeds, but I don't do that. So that's about, the more you just sort of bunch it up and cut it. And you just put it in the container, an airtight container. And usually, generally what I'll do is when I get it in the container, I'll shake it up. And that way it's constantly being mixed. If you want to use it as a tea for a laxative or diuretic or hay fever, do your own investigation into that. It's generally 2 teaspoons, which is the same for about any dried herb. 2 teaspoons of dried herb or the dried parsley per 6 to 8 ounces of boiling water. And you'll want to leave that in there and let it steep cover your mug for about 10 minutes before you strain it and drink it. It's recommended that you don't drink any more than 3 cups of parsley tea a day, and do not consume it for longer than 2 consecutive weeks, because it is a diuretic and it is a laxative and it can start really messing with you. So as always, if you're going to use it for a tea and you haven't done it before and you don't know what it does to you, consult your doctor. It's always good to consult your doctor before taking any herbal kind of anything, herbal teas or herbal syrups or whatever. Especially if you're taking prescription drugs, you're pregnant or breastfeeding, always consult your doctor first. You never know what's going to interact. Remember, herbs are medicine. They're nature's medicine, and many of our prescription drugs originally started out as an herb or a bark or a root, a natural ingredient. Just remember to treat it. It shouldn't be taken lightly, and you should just be consuming mass quantities of any kind of herbal tea, especially not the parsley. And you know, I'm sure you're familiar with using it in cooking, and I use it a lot with roasts and chicken. I just find parsley adds just a little bit of extra vitamins, and it also gives a little bit of a fresh taste to a lot of my Italian recipes. I hope this has been a little bit on growing and preserving and drying parsley and the different ways that you can use it. So this has been Angie from Canterbury Farm. Thanks for joining us. Bye.